Hi, my name is James Rojas, and I'm a resident of Alhambra. Been living here since 1975, and today we're going to be doing a sensory walking of East Main Street. Really kind of highlight how does our body physically connect to the street. As a urban planner, it's important that we understand that our physical body has to connect to places and start the planning from our bodies rather than just from paperwork. Hi. So we're in the corner of Cordova and Commonwealth. What I want to highlight here is just two types of architecture. This old building here was built in 1913, 1914, and it was built with very big eaves. Because at that time, people wanted shade, and they understood the importance of shade and cooling the house. But back by the 1940s and 50s, we had air conditioning. So the house across the street gets built, and they have no eaves at all. So you have a lot of direct sun in these homes. It's probably very bright, but also very hot. When we design homes, we need design for the climate. So the older homes were designed for the sun and shade. These newer homes disregarded that at all. Okay, so here in Cordova Street, you see this uber wide street right here. But behind me, the street narrows. And you can see what a difference a narrow street makes versus a wide street. The wide street is just a lot of pavement that the city can't even maintain. The narrow street, on the other hand, is really nice because the city can maintain that. So it's really important that we have narrow streets for better shade and better wind flow. And these wide streets, it's really too hot to really walk, so it becomes very uncomfortable. And plus, if you can see over this direction, you see a rock garden in the front yard, and the rock garden is not a good idea. A rock garden in the front yard. And this rock garden is not a good idea because what happens is that the rocks get hot and they increase the heat. And this heat is what projects into the air and also onto the plant. So it's not a good idea to put white rocks in your front yard, like the one over here. Okay, so an alternate to the rocks would be a drought-tolerant landscape like this, where you have shade and you have mulch and you have a lot of grasses. And the grasses are really drought tolerant, but they also sway in the wind. So unlike cactuses that have kind of a rattling in the wind, they kind of psychologically make you feel cooler. So we're on the corner of Main Street and Cordova. As you can see, there's no crosswalk here. And there's a market across the street. So a lot of people like myself have a hard time to cross the street, or we can't cross the street because there's no crosswalk here. This is where the city needs to put in a crosswalk to make it easy to cross the street here, make it safer for people to cross. But right now their argument is to the board for a crosswalk. But every corner, by California law, is eligible for a crosswalk. Behind me is a vacant car dealership. That used to be a Cadillac dealer, but now it's vacant, and now you have all this land that the city is trying to figure out what to do with. How high should be developed, where it should be. But the issue is, it's not about what it looks like, but what it feels like. And how can we make a quality environment they want that feels good to us, and then talk about how high it should be. So we're at the corner of Alhambra and Main Street. And this is a very problematic corner. Even though we have a really nice tree here, we have a bush stop, a bush fix, and we have a drive-through Burger King, which is bad because people have to walk through the driveway to get inside of the Burger King. If there was no driveway here, it could be accessible to pedestrians in a very safe way. But now with the driveway there, it's a hazard. This is a very bad design for a pedestrian street. It's done right here. For people with wheelchairs to access Burger King to the right, though, if you're in a wheelchair here, it might be a problem. So this is something that we really need to think about when we design our cities. Are we making it safe for people with wheelchairs? Also here, we have these tree grates and trees, but the city has not maintained the landscaping here. You can tell the trees are growing a lot larger than the original grate. So the city needs to come in and start to break the grate and make the trees go in a healthy way. can see the temperature here under the tree is very cool and comfortable because the breeze picks up and picks up all the moisture from the plants, as opposed to the asphalt and the parking lot where the temperature is probably 20 degrees hotter because the asphalt and the cars generate heat. And in the age of global warming, we want to keep the temperatures down in our community. So the soil here is very rich, and it probably has a high level of groundwater. Therefore, trees can grow really tall here because there's a lot of water underneath it. Historically, again, this was part of the San Pascual wash, part of the floodplain. So it flooded here and recessed. You have a lot of rich soil here. So this area of East Main Street is bookended by both the San Pascual wash and the Alhambra wash. You have two creeks, two cooling zones that can cool off this whole street. This whole area was, so historically, this part of the region of Southern California is where they built the first San Gabriel mission, because this area is water rich. We have a lot of aquifers under our feet here, and that's what the Spanish knew. That's why they built their first mission here. So it's a very water rich valley. One of the first cities to have its own water system because they would pump the waters from the washes. So the houses here in this area all had water, and that's why Alhambra is not part of the city of LA. They were able to fight off Moho and all the incorporations because of water. The valley had no water, and therefore it became part of the city of LA. Venice, Eagle Rock, all had to cave in.
Chinatown feel, right?
Yeah. We're in the arcade of the mortuary. This arcade is very narrow, but it's very cool. The stonework, the dark wood, makes the temperature feel a lot cooler here. So this is the way we should think about how we design our cities and how we design our businesses to really support these kind of naturally cooling areas. And this is a really beautiful piece of architecture as well, because it really controls the sun and the shadow and the shade. So the sun becomes a part of this whole integral way of looking at this beautiful space. This is what's left of the San Pascual wash. It's become a culvert, a concrete channel, and a parking lot, asphalt. So it used to be a naturally running creek with lots of habitat and lots of green and lots of cool air. Has now become a heat island. So we should stop this kind of development and really kind of return it to a nice green zone.
Develop into a park,
well, the city should develop it into a park, and also put a bike path that connects the whole channel from North Alhambra to South Alhambra. So using the wash, the San Pascual wash, as a route. Right away. Here we are at the corner of Main and Chapel. And this used to be Lincoln Savings Bank, and it was a gazebo here before. It had columns, and they had a roof of beams, and you had plants growing from it. But as you can see today, the gazebo and the shade is gone. So it's pretty hot here now. And also, I want to point out this long building behind me. This building is built on the floodplain of the wash. That's why it's so long. It extends from Chapel, which is western side of the wash, to the wash. So you have these really hyper long blocks, and these are really hard to develop, but they've developed them nevertheless, without any kind of pedestrian access. Just a long block. It's still the same design. This is the old Woolworths building where I worked when I was a teenager in the early 80s. It's long gone, but the building's been painted gold and turquoise. It used to be a very, very high volume retail area where people would people come over, will come here all across the West San Gabriel Valley to shop, and from LA. For the last 20 years, this storefront has been vacant. The city has allowed developers to buy these properties and just sit on them. They pay very low taxes, and they just collect money with their appreciation, but they don't help the community. So now we have a very disenfranchised Main Street. A lot of vacant storefronts and a lot of disenfranchised people as well. And this also, it also impacts lower revenue for the city. But the city has not figured out how to take action and kind of force the developers into making these spaces into thriving retail zones. So this arcade is really nice and comfortable. This is the kind of architecture and style we should be using for Main Street, as a way to kind of beat the heat and create shade and create interactive zones for people and retail to mix in a very comfortable environment without using air conditioning. So we're here in front of the former YMCA building. This building was built probably in the 1920s in Spanish architecture. And this is really kind of the cohesive architecture of Alhambra in the early romantic days. And here we have a nice courtyard that used to be the front of the YMCA or the Elks Club. And we have a lot of dances here. So the community members would gather in this courtyard and go inside. But now it's a center, a Chinese center. And across the street is another Spanish building, but that courtyard has been filled in. So I think to make the street a lot more interesting, we have to start thinking about the architectural style of the street. And this kind of interior courtyard to create a nice little intimate zone for people to gather, have a coffee, read a book, and have a nice public realm. Okay, we're at the corner of Main Street and Granada. And this is a CVS parking lot, and this is a desired pedestrian entrance into the parking lot. As you can see, it's actually a sewer. So people in a wheelchair would not have access to it. Again, this is how we should not design our cities. So we are on the corner of Granada and Main Street. This is probably the most dangerous intersection in Alhambra. I walk to the cafe every morning. You have an elementary school right down the street. So a lot of pedestrians go through here, but a lot of cars do too. And one of the biggest problems is that cars making a left always hit each other. And one of my neighbors, a pedestrian, was hit by a car and died. This is a really problematic intersection where they need to really restripe, put red by McDonald's, or sign visibility for motorists, and really not allow for left-hand turn lane off of Granada onto Main Street. Here we are in front of McDonald's, another very problematic pedestrian auto conflict zone. They designed the driveway to go around by the sidewalks, but if pedestrians want to go from the sidewalk to McDonald's, they have to cross the driveway. And sometimes these drivers with their coffee are in a rush. So this is a potential hazard right here. It's also not a very comfortable space or place to walk if you're elderly. So the city needs to reconsider the egress of pedestrians onto these stores, and also outlaw this type of driveways in pedestrian zones. Main Street in Vega, and this is one of our bus stops here. As you can see, there's not a bench and there's no shade, except if I stand right here. So this is a problem. If we want to get people to use transportation and support sustainable living, we have to give them the amenities they need. We have to think about transportation as a relationship, not just a transaction, but we have to beg for mercy for some shade. We need to show some compassion shelters, bus stops, and benches will not encourage homelessness. Because homelessness is a programmatic problem. Bus stops and shelters are infrastructure. So, if we can deal with the homeless situation, we need the bus shelters regardless. Homelessness are going to be there no matter what, but we shouldn't let that stop us from improving our cities. Across the street is a really nice bus shelter, and there's no homeless person there. So, you can see, that's a weak argument.
No crosswalk.
So we're the corner of Main Street and Vega, and you can see we're by this new building here, and all the parking is here. It has streets, but yet it's overparked. It's never been filled with cars, so why build more asphalt than you need? And again, in the days of global warming, we don't need this kind of asphalt to make our cities hotter. Here we are at the Alhambra Wash, and this is the border between Alhambra and San Gabriel. And as you can feel, it's probably 5 to 10 degrees cooler down here because it's a natural cooling ecosystem. And in the age of global warming, we need to create cool spots in our cities, and this would be an ideal park or cool zone to create for residents both in Alhambra and San Gabriel. Yes, this is also be enriching the watershed, the rich watershed that Alhambra has as a natural resource for open space and recreation and ecology. And this wash is also the wash where the mission got its water from. That's where the San Gabriel mission is a few hundred feet from this wash. So if you ever see pictures of the San Gabriel mission, this is the wash in the forefront of it. It was a water source for the mission and all the agricultural production that it produced. So it's a really historic landmark for the whole Southern California region. This is our first bit of infrastructure we ever needed here. Hi, so we're here at number 22 Champion Place, Alhambra. This was a historic location for the Alhambra Arts Colony, and the famed painter Norman Rockwell was part of that group. And this is the compound and what's left of it. I guess it's still standing, but a nice bungalow, arts and crafts, a lot of landscaping. So it's a very inspirational point or place to do painting. But as you can see today, it's a little bit run down, and who knows what the status is of this property, but it's a really beautiful property that really should be preserved as a cultural landmark, not only for Alhambra, for the U.S.